There are the rules you're taught, and then there are the rules Machiavelli would only whisper. The kind that divide power from fragility, authority from vulnerability. Most people believe that power is something you project. But Machiavelli understood a deeper reality. Real power lives in what you withhold, especially in the public eye. Because in public, you're not just seen by people, but by opportunity, by perception, and by those waiting for your slip. You don't ascend by dazzling others in public. You rise by being disciplined. And there are 9 subtle, deeply human behaviors that, if exposed, will quietly dismantle your presence, erode your mystique, and dilute your control. Never voice complaints in public. You may think it makes you more human, more relatable. But to those who understand influence, it signals the opposite. Machiavelli recognized that airing frustration publicly reveals 2 fatal cracks: a lack of control and a need for empathy. Both weaken your stance. True power draws in those who can withstand adversity in silence. The instant you broadcast struggle, you cast yourself not as a mystery, not as a force, but as someone who needs. And that changes how the world treats you. Instead, carry your burdens privately. Let them marvel at your composure. Never show your insecurities, maybe in a trusted private circle. But never on the public stage. Because once people hear your doubts, they start to adopt them. Say, "I'm not great at this enough," and people will stop trusting you to be. Admit to shaky confidence, and they'll begin to lower the bar for you. Machiavelli understood that perception bends reality. Authority dies the moment you offer your weakness. So even when doubt lingers, maintain your posture. Let your uncertainty be masked by unwavering calm. What unsettles people most is not your confidence, but your refusal to show fear. Never broadcast your ambitions. You've seen the type loudly announcing their next move. Machiavelli would nod and wait, quietly weaponizing their enthusiasm. Because once your plans are public, 2 risks emerge. No one feels urgency to help you, you're already on your way. Right? And worse, those who oppose you now know exactly how to obstruct you. Keep your intentions private. Let your results do the talking. Build in silence. And when others ask, just smile. Offer little, because real power is amassed when the path is hidden. Never take obvious sides in trivial disputes. Defending someone in private shows loyalty, but publicly, it makes you transparent. Machiavelli warned rulers, never wade into others' arguments unless the outcome benefits you. Taking sides earns you enemies you never needed, and creates alliances rooted in emotion rather than purpose. Worst of all, it broadcasts your values before you have the strength to defend them. Let others reveal themselves. You watch, you analyze, you wait. Public neutrality isn't weakness. It's the groundwork for long-term supremacy. Never display a hunger for attention. There is no scent more off-putting in public than desperation. Whether it's a forced laugh, a craving for validation, or a thirst for approval once others sense that need, they hold the upper hand. Machiavelli understood this well. The more you depend on others, especially emotionally, the less they respect you. Walk into a room trying to earn affection, and you become forgettable. But walk in with steadiness, with quiet indifference, and you establish an aura they can't quite grasp. And what they can't define, they can't dismiss. Want presence? Want sway? Then be the one who doesn't require the room. Let them be drawn to your calm. Never crumble under pressure, not even a little. Public moments of friction, debates, accusations, unexpected stress are trials. And most fail not because they explode, but because they leak. A strained voice, a twitch in the face, a posture that falters. The audience senses it, even if they don't register it consciously. And just like that, the mystique begins to fade. Machiavelli would never display stress. He absorbed it, like a fortress absorbs impact. Even if turmoil brewed inside, his exterior remained steady, not robotic, but composed. Because once the world realizes you cannot be shaken, you become a point of orientation. People adjust around you. Never over-justify yourself in public. This is the downfall of those who believe everything must be explained. You say something provocative, there's a reaction, and panic sets in. You scramble to clarify, soften, explain. And in doing so, you lose the narrative. Now your image is being dictated by others. You're dancing to their rhythm. But Machiavelli never danced. He diverted. Rather than apologizing, he made others doubt their own reaction. If they asked for clarity, he'd simply say, "Maybe you misunderstood." Or better yet, "Maybe you understood exactly." Either way, he retained power over the interpretation. So the next time you're tempted to defend your choices, resist. Let your silence do the talking. Make them wonder. Never expose bitterness over being overlooked. Someone excludes you. Chooses someone else. You feel the sting, and maybe you want to show it. But bitterness in the open is self-inflicted sabotage. It broadcasts, "I care, and I'm wounded." And that, as Machiavelli would put it, is emotional suicide. When someone passes you over, dismisses you, or shuts you out, your best response is calm withdrawal, not sarcasm, not forced smiles, stillness. Let it appear that they did you a favor, that your presence is a privilege, and they've simply opted out. Because chances are, they expected you to chase them. When you don't, they'll end up chasing the void you left behind. Never publicly attack someone with more power than you. Not because they're immune to criticism, but because it won't serve you. Calling out someone higher on the ladder accomplishes only two things. You appear envious, even if you're telling the truth. And those in power now mark you as a liability. Machiavelli would absolutely identify their flaws, but he wouldn't strike first, at least not where everyone could see. He'd wait. Wait for their guard to drop. Wait until it seemed more advantageous to raise them up, only to time their collapse. And if critique was necessary, he'd deliver it with precision through indirect channels. Because power isn't about proclaiming truth. It's about recognizing when truth becomes leverage. Power isn't just maintained by restraint, it's shaped by intention. By what you subtly project, not just what you withhold. The moment you eliminate weak behaviors that Machiavelli would reject, you leave a void. And the world hates a void. People will interpret your silence, craft stories around your presence, whether or not you influence it directly. That's when the goal shifts from avoiding exposure to engineering influence, not with loud gestures, not with arrogance, but through calm control, quiet positioning, and deliberate withholding. You've already learned what to discard. Now comes the art of replacing. Swap complaints for unreadable resilience. When people complain, they leak desperation. But when you endure hardship without commentary, you become enigmatic. Machiavelli would never display pain. He would redirect it. In public, your composed silence under stress becomes almost threatening. Why? Because people are unnerved by what they can't quantify. If you appear calm in chaos, they wonder, what does he know? Why isn't he reacting? You don't need to fake joy. You don't need to act unfazed. You only need to exude emotional distance, the kind that makes others question their own stability. Your struggle becomes a tool, as long as no one sees it naked. Swap insecurity for deliberate ambiguity. Insecurity gives signals. Ambiguity acts as a mirror. Insecure people explain. They overshare. They crave reassurance. But Machiavellian ambiguity is strategic. It leaves others guessing by design. Instead of saying, "I'm not sure how to proceed," you say, "I've got a direction," and leave it there. You don't confess uncertainty. You ask probing questions. You don't pretend to have all the answers. You let them wonder how much you really know. And once they begin assuming your steps ahead, they become preoccupied with deciphering you. That's when you gain leverage. Replace bragging with quiet indicators of power. Stating your influence diminishes it. Letting it appear by accident, that's control. Real authority doesn't announce itself. It surfaces in how others rely on you during confusion. You're not a leader because you claim the role. You're the leader because, in moments of uncertainty, eyes drift toward you. You don't declare you're building something. They notice how your schedule is protected. You don't proclaim success. They feel it in your composed silence while others chase the spotlight. That is power not through display, but through deliberate delay. When you understand this, even your silence signals momentum. Swap loud displays of loyalty for private devotion. While others are yelling and picking sides, you remain quiet, not because you're indifferent, but because you prioritize influence over applause. The deepest kind of loyalty is invisible. Machiavelli operated in the shadows when it came to allegiance. You can show support. You can stand by someone, but do it quietly. Public loyalty is often just performance, and performance usually comes at a cost. Protect someone quietly, and they'll respect you more. Stay neutral in the open, and you remain unshakable. That's the play. Stand with them in silence. Lead with discretion. Replace the urge to be noticed with intentional absence. The loudest voice often belongs to the weakest spirit, so don't rush to be heard. Speak only when the moment asks for your voice. Let your laugh interrupt silence, not compete with noise. Avoid the center of attention, linger at the edge, and draw interest towards you. People are wired to seek contrast. In a space full of performers, the one who doesn't compete becomes the one they orbit. Machiavelli knew. A ruler doesn't dominate through sound, he prevails by making others adjust around his stillness. Trade emotional outbursts for pre-planned control. When someone challenges you, resist the need to strike back or defend. Don't try to dominate the moment. Instead, use what Machiavelli might call composed stances, the pause before replying, the emotionless glance, the lean back after interruption, the silence that refuses to match another's frenzy. These movements disrupt rhythm. Because when someone expects a dramatic response and receives nothing, they begin unraveling. Your calmness rattles them, and as they start to spiral, you remain composed, the one who appears to have orchestrated the entire moment. Exchange over-explanation for strategic mystery. The more you explain, the easier you are to define. The less you speak, the more others project. And when you become the subject of their projections, you gain influence over their perception. Instead of defending your choice, say, "Let's see how it unfolds." Instead of justifying your behavior, say, "It made sense to me." Now they must do the work to interpret you, and in doing so, they often assign greater meaning than you intended, which serves you. Because Machiavelli never wanted clarity, he wanted mystery. And mystery, interpreted by others, often becomes more powerful than the truth itself. Replace resentment with quiet departure. When you're overlooked or dismissed in public, don't react. Don't explain. Just leave, not with spite, but with cold precision. The one who exits without drama creates unease for everyone else. You didn't fight. You didn't plead. You vanished. And suddenly, they're left wondering, did we miss something? Was that calculated? Why does it feel like something valuable just slipped away? You've become rare without losing anything. And that makes your return, if you ever choose to return, exponentially more impactful. Replace impulsive retaliation with timed precision. When someone crosses a line, don't respond right away. Wait, observe. Let time reveal their vulnerabilities. Then, in a different moment, in a seemingly unrelated setting, you reveal a truth so precise, so calculated, it feels incidental, but it's anything but. It's retribution, refined by discipline. Machiavelli never declared, "That man is weak." He allowed the man's own actions to confirm it, then delivered a quiet observation to the right ears at the right moment. This is how power uses language, not by shouting, but by waiting. Influence without awareness is just unseen labor. And Machiavelli only embraced silence when it unsettled those around him. This is the evolution, crafting the version of you that exists when you're not present. Because in the public eye, you're not just portraying a persona. You're planting a legacy. That legacy isn't sculpted by your declarations. It's formed by what you leave unsaid, and how you shape responses without overt control. It's the art of managing perception before anyone defines you first. Machiavelli wasn't aiming to be liked or even understood. He wanted to be respected and followed without explanation. That's your objective now. Most speak to silence the void. The Machiavellian speaks to create it. Public image isn't determined by your statements. It's formed by the spaces between them. When you slow your speech, when you pause deliberately, when you let words linger without resolution, people lean in. They associate your silence with depth. They create meaning where you've left none. That's your leverage. Speak less, signify more. Use silence like punctuation that adds weight. Let others mentally complete your sentences. At that point, you stop being someone who speaks and become someone they must decode. Wield eye contact like a strategic tool. There are two ways to dismantle someone: publicly stare until they falter, or ignore them entirely. Machiavelli grasped this long before it became a tactic. Your gaze isn't about showing confidence, it's about asserting position. When someone tries to provoke debates, postures, performs, meet their eyes with calm, unyielding focus. Don't blink. Don't engage too eagerly. Just remain steady. Eventually, they'll look away. And when they do, the entire room registers who truly held the upper hand. If someone lower on the hierarchy attempts to provoke, deny them visibility completely. Not with arrogance, with composed disinterest. That kind of visual dismissal turns them into an absence. Everyone sees it. And without saying a word, your dominance is clear. Respond to provocation with graceful redirection. The most commanding figures in any space aren't the ones who dominate debates. They're the ones who never appear to engage at all. When someone attempts to confront you with sarcasm or criticism in front of others, don't defend yourself. Don't rise to the bait. You pivot. You offer a slight, composed smile. You steer the conversation somewhere else so effortlessly that it renders the instigator childish, and the room sees it. They realize you didn't need to win because you never played. You simply moved through. That's presence. And once people learn that you cannot be baited, they stop trying. They fall into your rhythm. You now influence more than perception. You control the emotional current of every room you step into. Craft a legend out of your absence. The most potent demonstrations of presence often happen when you're not even in the room. If you cultivate your image with subtlety and care, people begin to speak of you when you're gone. When you exit, say little. Disclose less. But move in ways that spark curiosity. And curiosity always creates storylines. They begin to whisper, "What's he working on now? Did you notice how composed he was? I heard he's preparing something major." What you've done is implant a quiet myth, one that travels without you. To build it, be slightly more elusive than expected. Leave early. Arrive deliberately late. Say just enough to imply depth, never the full story. And when your name surfaces in conversation, it should leave a pause, a hush, a hint of reverence, a subtle uncertainty. That's how legacies are made. And legends, they don't shout. They resonate. Let others speak on your behalf. When most people sense their reputation is at risk, they rush to defend it. But Machiavelli never did. Why? Because the act of defending yourself often legitimizes the accusation. Instead, he relied on silent alliances, remained unshaken, and trusted that his demeanor had inspired enough loyalty or fear that someone else would step in to protect his image. You should do the same. Speak in a way that people want to quote. Move in a way that makes others feel wiser when they defend you. And when someone challenges you in public, stay composed. Say only, "They're entitled to their opinion." Then stay silent. The room will handle the rest. That's the strategy of those who rule. They don't chase down whispers. They let their myth outlast them. Perfect the art of your exit. Machiavelli believed timing was the unseen engine behind influence. You can say the right thing at the wrong time and lose it all. You can captivate a crowd and ruin the moment with a weak departure. That's why mastering your final impression is essential. When it's time to go, leave while curiosity is still building, not when it peaks, and definitely not after it fades. Exit while you still hold the energy in the room. Step away mid-conversation with a reason that feels natural but stirs intrigue. I've got to take care of something. Let's pick this up again later. That's a perfect place to pause. You'll see soon enough. It's not arrogance, it's precise orchestration. And when you're gone, they don't dwell on what you said, they obsess over the timing. Why did you leave just then? Now you're not just remembered. You're etched into the silence of the room. Machiavelli didn't just teach moves, he shaped mood. Your goal isn't to dazzle in public. It's to shake certainty, ignite wonder, and leave a presence people feel but can't fully name. Presence, however, is only your foundation. Real power begins when presence becomes action. Machiavelli didn't aim merely to be respected. He moved like a weapon loaded but never drawn. Always felt, always noticed. Most stop at control. They develop composure and think they've arrived. But restraint is just half the craft. The other half is precision. So now, you don't just command a room with stillness, you begin to destabilize it without even shifting your posture. Turn silence into a trap, not a wall. There's a kind of quiet that shields, and one that pulls people into their own unraveling. In public, don't just stay silent to stay safe. Use it to lure missteps. When provoked, don't reply. Pause. Give them no answers. Offer them only stillness. Let your silence speak while they begin to overshare, stumble, and expose themselves, trying to fill the gap. That's when the room watches them spiral, while you remain perfectly still. Machiavelli used silence as a mirror to show people to themselves. The unprepared always rush to fill a pause. The prepared let the pause consume the unready. Redirect pressure with questions. When someone tries to trap you with a public challenge or probing question, don't explain, redirect. If they ask, "Why did you do that?" you ask, "What makes you ask?" If they press with, "What's next for you?" answer, "Would it really serve me to reveal that?" Suddenly, they're no longer seeking truth in your answers. They're hunting for intention in your deflection. And just like that, you flip the balance. When you explain, you play by their timing. But when you make them explain themselves, the moment becomes yours to control. Use micro-behaviors to create psychological tension. In public settings, most people aim to impress. They overcompensate with big movements, loud tones, and rapid gestures. But the Machiavellian approach is the opposite. It's rooted in subtlety. A gaze that lingers just a second longer than expected. A small, knowing smirk while someone else is trying too hard. A measured sip from your glass right after someone delivers a dramatic monologue. These aren't just habits, they're signals. They whisper, "I've already decoded this moment. I'm ahead." Good. This is control without theatrics. It's power without posture. These gestures create an unspoken pressure, a tension that no one can explain but everyone can feel. Because when people can't read you, they start recalibrating around you. Strategically praise those in power. Never attack those with greater influence, not because they don't deserve it, but because it costs you. Instead, do what Machiavelli would. Offer selective public praise. Not flattery, not exaggeration, just sharp, pointed recognition. Her instincts are razor sharp. He doesn't even need to speak, the room shifts before he does. Why? Because power remembers who reinforces its image. You become an unseen ally, not submissive, but smart. You're now protected by proximity, yet still holding your own stance. You don't surrender. You align quietly and effectively. Keep your focus disguised. In public, appear relaxed but never stop observing. Watch who's trying the hardest to be seen. Who's subtly imitating your mannerisms. Who's quietly angling to challenge you. Machiavelli would assess the entire room without ever revealing he was watching. Because true power isn't just about being seen. It's about seeing without being seen. Those who scan openly are suspicious. Those who scan silently are lethal. Once you identify who's insecure, envious, or pretending, you gain the leverage to shift the dynamics. Not immediately, not obviously, but when it counts most, answer disrespect with distance. Nothing disrupts a group's energy more than your sudden, composed silence. If someone dismisses you, interrupts you, tries to subtly diminish, you don't react. Don't argue. Simply detach. Withdraw your attention. Divert your energy elsewhere. Speak to someone else. Shift the center of gravity. Let the offender realize without confrontation that they've just excluded themselves from your world. The group will notice. The one who crossed you will feel the cold. And in their discomfort, they'll try harder, become performative, unstable. You didn't humiliate them. You just removed your presence. Now their own doubt does the work for you. Drop lines that echo long after you're gone. A sentence delivered at the right moment can pierce deeper than a long monologue. You don't have to dominate the conversation. What matters is leaving behind a single phrase that loops in people's minds after your exit. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you seem to be. Few know what you truly are." You mirror this truth in your own way. You say things like, "It'll make sense eventually," or "Silence can carry more weight than shouting," or "Power watches it doesn't react." You don't dramatize it. You don't pause for effect. You just say it neutral, effortless, and it stays. They don't know why it haunts them, but it does. That's how you stretch influence. Your voice becomes a ritual. Your presence lingers after your body leaves. Turn public appearances into enigmas. Most people enter a space craving to be noticed. You enter as a mystery. Friendly eyes paired with a detached tone. Motionless posture with palpable intensity. Warm 1 second, unreadable the next. Courteous, but never obvious. This tension, this blend of contradictions arrests people's focus. Their minds can't settle. Are you open or closed? A threat or an ally? That uncertainty keeps you imprinted in memory. You become a puzzle they feel the need to solve but can't. You're no longer a person in the room. You're the disruption of clarity itself. That's the game Machiavelli would play. Not just to command respect, but to redefine the entire emotional architecture of a space.